Alright guys, so in this video we're going to be going over some reasons why you're struggling with your calisthenics. A lot of people who start off with calisthenics, they have certain issues and they're wondering, why can I do this movement? Why can I do a handstand if I have enough strength to push myself up and I can do handstand push-ups on the wall? Why can't I do it without a wall? Why am I struggling to do all these basic movements like the crow pose or the frog pose, whatever you want to call it, all these different movements? Well, in this video, I'm going to be going over some of those links that you can work on that are usually what is holding back beginners or people who have the strength to do the movement from doing the particular movement that you want to learn and to do. So let's get to the video so you can go over that. All right, guys. So now but we're doing the introduction. We can go over some of the things that hold you back from being able to do calisthenics. In calisthenics, and by the way, this doesn't mean that you can't do calisthenics. Everybody can do calisthenics. I want as many people to do it as possible because it's a great way to get your exercise in and not use weights. And really, you can get a physique just as good as the guy who uses weights, or almost as good as the guy who uses weights, by doing calisthenics. So really, there's no excuse to why you can't work out. Working out should be open to everybody. You can get an amazing physique by calisthenics. I almost only use calisthenics. The only time that I ever use any sort of weights for my legs, and that's almost never. So I really recommend calisthenics to everybody. When we're doing calisthenics, the main link that is always what stops people from really achieving the most in calisthenics are their ligaments, their flexibility, and their bones, their bone density. Whenever I do calisthenics, especially for example my legs, I do a lot of jumping around and certain movements, explosive movements to strengthen my legs. My bones, my legs, the bottom part of my legs are what holds me back. Your muscles develop much faster. And if you've seen some of my older videos, you guys will know this. Muscles develop much faster than bones and ligaments. Bones and ligaments, they get stronger, but they take months of training to get stronger, not years if you really want to get some serious bone density and serious ligament strength. This is also why when people take steroids and they're training like crazy, their bones, and especially their ligaments more than their bones, don't adjust to the steroids, and their muscles are so big that they just tear off the bone because their ligaments can't hold them together, and their bones can get more injuries because their bones can't handle it. Although it does increase bone density, by the way. If you take performance-enhancing drugs, although I never recommend that. But ligaments grow slower, and it kind of just doesn't work out. And when you're doing calisthenics, it's the same thing. So when I'm doing handstands, my flexibility, my wrist flexibility, my motion has to be super good so I don't mess up my hands. Like if you can't put your hands all the way back, you struggle to touch yourself like this. Like if you touch the bottom part of your wrist, sounded wrong. Then you have to work on your wrist flexibility, doing wrist flexibility drills so you can do handstands and not have your wrists kill you. This could take months. It could even take a year or 2 years. But anyone can do it, and you can do basic push-ups while you're working on it, so you can still get stronger in calisthenics. Because I guarantee you, there's a certain amount of push-ups that you just won't be able to do, or a certain variation of push-ups. Like if you're struggling with regular push-ups, you can do incline push-ups where you put your feet on a chair and then do more push-ups that way. And that's harder than doing, regular push-ups. And you could just increase the incline. You make them harder. Or you could use weights on your back, but really I don't recommend that. Like I said, it's to be as available to everybody as possible. Calisthenics is always open to everyone. Anyone can do calisthenics. It's amazing. You could do calisthenics without your legs, with your legs. You could do them without your arms because then you have your legs, and then you could even do calisthenics without either. You start doing neck training like this. Calisthenics you can do everywhere, whatever way. Everyone can do it, so there's no excuse. And ligaments, they take also like bones. They take months to grow. You need to damage them to get them stronger, so you need to train. But after you damage them, it takes like 3 to 5 months for them to heal and get stronger. But they're like muscles, where muscles you give them protein. The holes that are caused by training, you get the damage, the torn muscles. They get filled up with amino acids from the protein. Remember, a protein is like a packaging unit. It's like a package. It's just a bunch of amino acids loaded in there. And then those amino acids, when they get into the torn muscles, they go, they fill it up, and that's what leads to the creation of muscle through protein muscle synthesis. When then you go to sleep and they heal and they get stronger. Same thing happens with um, ligaments and bones. I'm pretty sure I had a video all about this before in the past, where they compare ligaments and bones or something similar to that. I've explained this before, but you guys go through my videos and you can learn a lot more than just that from looking at my videos. But ligaments, instead of protein, they need collagen. Collagen is like the protein for the muscles. You go train them, your muscles, and then your ligaments get damaged. And I don't know, there should be a name for that. There should be collagen ligament synthesis. That should be a thing. Although I've never heard of it, so I don't think it's a real thing. But what happens is then your ligaments get filled up with this collagen, which then, when you go to sleep, heals and repairs the ligaments. So your ligaments start getting better. And remember, sleep is very important. Rest is important, because in your sleep is when your body repairs itself. So your muscles don't grow or get stronger, same with your ligaments or bones, unless you're sleeping. If you have poor sleep, you'll never get any ligament or bone growth, and it's horrible. We don't want that. Bones, as you might have guessed from what you hear online, calcium is pretty much like the equivalent to collagen with ligaments and protein to muscles. Calcium goes into your bones when you train. The tiny, you won't believe it, but your bones get tiny little micro fractures. Whenever you're walking, you walk enough, your bones are getting fractured very tiny little bits, and this creates holes, which is then filled up by calcium, that then creates stronger, denser bones. And remember, your bones are organs. People think that they're these big, rough things that just doesn't make sense. You can't really imagine them being repaired or growing, or at least I don't know why. I think of it as like, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine. Maybe not you guys. But it goes in there, the calcium, and it repairs it. It makes it stronger, and it works the same way as a muscle. And I never really thought about it before until I found out by doing research that your bones are like muscles and your ligaments are like muscles. You just all it's the crazy. It's the adaptive ability of your body is amazing. Um, and yeah, and also this helps with aging. So when you're aging, you know that's one of the major issues people have when they get older. Their bone density gets worse, way worse. Consistent walking is what I recommend for people who are older. Really, really, really helps with increasing bone density in your legs. You walk a lot. I actually I have a little treadmill. So whenever I'm recording these videos, I always have not recording, editing these videos. I'm walking on that treadmill because I have a standing desk here. It has to do like a room tour or something, or like you guys see my setup. I have a standing desk in front of me that can stand and go down. So right now I have it down, so I'm sitting, and I edit the videos, and I have them walking on the treadmill, because what that does is that it walking creates those little micro fractures in your bones, like I said, in my bones technically too. And it's actually even more beneficial when you're younger, because that sets you up for longevity. It gives you longevity. It makes it so your bones are already denser to begin with. And even when you stop walking, which you shouldn't, that density stays there for a long time. You can stay there for years if you've been training intensely for a certain period of time. I've trained 5 years. Some of it will stick forever, really, because also um, ligaments and bones and muscles work the same way, where they remember. It's like muscle has memory. People say that, where if you lose all your muscle and you lose your bone density, you lose your ligament density, it's much easier to get it back, since your body's already adapted once. It can readapt back to where it was before. So yeah, it's amazing what your body can do, and that's really what stops you guys from doing calisthenics. And I'm sorry, it might have been more like it sounded like a lesson, but I want to teach you guys as much as possible, while including this kind of things like calisthenics that you guys may be more interested in. Try to make it as educational as possible, so you guys get smarter and better and organize yourselves to get the most out of your training as possible. So yeah, really, that's what holds most people back from the calisthenics: their ligaments and the bones. Because if your muscles can do it, like for example me, also your balance and your flexibility. But flexibility is your muscles. You stretch your muscles. Um, when you train your muscles, there's muscle width and then muscle length. When you stretch your muscles, you're making them longer. So you're making them bigger. You actually get stronger, believe it or not, when you stretch, because you're training the stretch, the length, getting bigger muscles. They're just because they're getting longer. as you increase the range of motion. So that's why you see a lot of big athletes. They're super flexible and they're super strong. It's because their flexibility actually increases their muscle strength. And I highly recommend it. And you need that for calisthenics. So all those people who don't stretch, well, you're never going to be good at calisthenics if you don't do stretch. You can't do the splits, then you're kind of cooked because there's a lot of movements that you just won't be able to do. So it's up to you guys. If you don't want to do calisthenics, you don't want to be doing any handstand push-ups in like the next 2-3 years. I think anyone, if they set their mind to it, within 3 years can be doing handstand push-ups. Anyone. It's like, I mean, I might have slightly better genetics than some, or people might have slightly better genetics than me, and they might be able to do it in a year or two. But anyone can do it in 3 years if they set their mind to it, or maybe like 4 or 5 years. But that's if even with bad genetics, you could do it in 4 or 5 years. If you just set your mind to it, you focus and you do the flexibility training, you train consistently. Remember, consistency beats intensity. You'll be able to do it. So really, remember flexibility, ligament density, bone density. So that means you have to wait for your ligaments to get stronger and your bones to get stronger. And if you feel any pain in a certain part or range of motion, that's usually because of your ligaments or your bones. You have to wait, let it rest, give it a few weeks. Because what happens, even if it doesn't fully repair, it has this recovery layer, your ligaments and your bones, that it can be constructed within 4 weeks. So within 4 weeks, you have a layer that's kind of half repairing it, while the rest keeps on repairing. And then you can continue training a little harder on that side. Remember, train motion in the place of where the injury is always good. Like, do as much as you can without hurting yourself. If you break your arm, move it as much as you can without hurting yourself. A lot of people say not to move it at all. Do move it. It brings blood and nutrients to the places that you need it, so it heals faster. Just be careful, don't overdo it and hurt yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. That's the end of the video. Remember, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.